Darshan Kumar. Art isn't just displayed, it's curated with vision, and few do it better than Darshan Kumar. As Deputy Curator at the National Gallery of Modern Art, Bengaluru, he has been shaping artistic narratives since 2017, ensuring that modern art speaks to both history and the present. From co-curating Nama Mestru, the artistic voyage of JMS Mani, to meticulously crafting retrospectives, his work brings the finest strokes of India's art world into focus. But before stepping into the world of galleries, he spends time in corporate analytics, perhaps providing that even numbers couldn't contain his artistic instincts. A keen eye, a deep understanding of visual storytelling, and an unwavering commitment to making art accessible, these define his journey. Please join me in welcoming Darshan Kumar.
With each stroke of her brush and every word she writes, she crafts a universe where art and literature exist in a delicate yet powerful dance. A space where the boundaries between the two dissolve and new forms of storytelling emerge. Erika Kobayashi is that captivating force in the realm of contemporary Japanese creativity. Her work seamlessly intertwines the visual and the literary. Based in Tokyo, she is a distinguished visual artist whose talent is matched only by her literary brilliance. In 2014, her debut novel, Breakfast with Madame Curie, was met with critical acclaim, earning a spot on the prestigious shortlists for the Mishima and Akutagawa prizes, a rare honor that speaks to the depth and richness of her writing. Her second English language work, Sunrise, Radiant Stories, further attests to her ability to craft intricate, evocative narratives that resonate far beyond her native language. Her latest novel, the literary thriller Trinity, 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 about a terrorist attack on the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, examines the intertwined histories of the Olympics, fascism, and nuclear technologies. Her creations remind us that the world is full of untold stories, just waiting for an artist's touch to bring them to life.
Our next panelist is Kanako Nishi. Words that linger, emotions that cut deep, and redefine the contours of modern Japanese storytelling, one beautifully nuanced tale at a time. Kanako Nishi is a literary force that weaves story with the fluidity of language and the depth of lived experience. A celebrated Japanese writer and artist, known for her diverse body of work that includes novels, essays, short stories, and children's books. Known for her evocative prose and playful use of the Osaka dialect, Nishi crafts stories that explores identity, human connection, and the quiet complexities of everyday life. Her breakout novel, Saraba, earned her the prestigious Naoki Prize in 2015, cementing her place in the contemporary Japanese literature. Her stories has also been seen adapted into critically acclaimed films, including Sakura and Fortune Favors Lady Nikuko.
And our moderator for this panel is Shaunak Desai, an architect, designer, and educator with over 13 years of experience.
So today morning when I had a conversation with Urjit Sen, he's a graphic designer based in India, and I told him that I'm going to moderate a session called Global Perspective in Visual Arts. He smirked at me and asked me a question: can there be a global perspective? Can art be a global monolith? So I'll just ask you the same question. Can there be a global perspective of art? Can art be a monolith of, a single kind? Or there are cultural nuances to visual art as well? Anybody can take it.
Yeah, I think, today with the digital era, with a lot of accessible to, what is happening in any other country or any other artist, I think definitely there is a possibility of, the global perspective to look at. And I think it is enriching when people come together, like all the art forms and the interdisciplinary practice. I am sure that, both of you are a very sensitive artists as I went through it, and how you're able to use the moving image in your artwork. And also, you both are writers, and how do you bring, certain writings in your artworks? I saw in your work mostly. And when I visited Japan to Fukuoka Museum, we had an international exchange exhibition which was happening. So NGMA is one of the, National Gallery of Modern Art is one of the premier institute which represents modern and contemporary art in India. And it has the largest repository of modern and contemporary art. So we hosted certain important artists, including Nandalal Bose, Upendra Maharati, which represented and reflected Indian modern perspective. So, I really liked how, the museum also embraced the Indian culture. So I saw many of Indian artists who were exhibited there. I think that's the beauty where we can bring in a lot of global perspective, through cultural exchange exhibitions, and allowing everybody to look at the practices of the artist. And also, artists, serious artists are, looking at closely towards the cultural change. We see a lot of artists today working with different mediums and also picking up a lot of sensitive issues which definitely contribute to the cultural aspect of the country. And definitely throughout globe, we have a lot of artists like that. And through showcasing and having, artist exchange programs, I think we can have a global perspective to look at.
Okay, yeah. You were asking how do I write, how do I start my novel or something, right? How do I create?
Yeah.
Or was the inspiration of something? No?
My question was, so when we talk about global perspective of art,
Yes.
so how do we understand, as Sir talked about how Indian artists are being exhibited in Japanese museums and art galleries, how do you, coming from Japan, how do you perceive global art? How do you define the global perception of art right now?
Okay. Okay. When we talk about global, maybe we only talk about Africa, Asia, and other countries. So we've never say that global to American culture, right? So it means global means we were not global, right? Right? But we can be all global now because of IT or something internet. So no, I am coming to here as a writer, a Japanese writer, and also I don't have any whole book translated in English, but I can meet you like this. Yeah, and this is also globalization for me. And yeah, is this answer? It's okay?
Right.
Yeah, okay.
But first, I'd like to talking about the globalization and cultural exchange, because the session I attended before, we talked about the animation of Ramayana in Japanese studio, and I was also Japanese director now directing what the title. さっき言ってたインドの映画を今
Ramayana.
Ramayana is now in India now, and that's so inspiring for me because Indian culture also affected to our culture, and our culture also into Indian culture, and through animation that I feel really amazing. At the same time, personally, now I am trying to translate the book of Sangeeta Yogi, who was published her drawing from Tara Books based in Chennai. And now I'm trying to translate her book, which called The Woman I Could Be. And during the translation, I thought the culture is really different, but at the same time, I feel really close to me. That picture book was based on Sangeeta's personal story and drawing, because Sangeeta was married when she was really young, and she had a child, and she had to labor and very gender gapped. But at the same time, she had religions and power of art. through illustrating her dreams, she can survive and she can have power. If during my during I translated her text and I saw her drawing, I feel I live in Japan and I grew up in Tokyo, and our situation, especially women, is not the same, but I feel really connected, and I was so empowered by her illustration and word. So that kind of exchange and influence is really meaningful to me. And now I'm attending this conference, and exchange our idea is so ideal to exchange, and we could discuss about what could we see our future.
Right, that's enlightening. So both of you are a very unique creators, because you write and both of you also draw.
Yeah.
So I would like to begin with you. Can you please elaborate on the process through which you actually create something? Do you write first or do you draw first? I mean,
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
the basic I want to know.
Thank you. As he said that, I am writing my novel, and at the same time, I am drawing my cover of novels, and Erika too. And that is not common in Japan, so we are so privileged and we are so happy about it. And yeah, about the process, yes, sometimes it comes to, always my cover illustration is inspired from my novel, of course. And sometimes it comes to my mind during I am writing, oh, okay, my cover will be this. But sometimes it doesn't come to mind until I ended my novel. And sometimes nothing to come to my mind. And in case of so, I discussed my art director, of course. And recently, also, I had experience that I discussed with art director. My novel named Sakura will be published next year in English in New York. And I have an art editor in New York. His name is Stephen. And Sakura is a story about the dog and her family. So Stephen suggested me to draw Sakura's face and how she was loved by her family. So I draw Sakura's face. Sakura is name of dog. And Sakura's face and also the hand, they pet her. Yeah, so such was an amazing experience for me, yeah.
What about you? I mean, how do you proceed with your creative urges?
Once Kanako mentioned, we are so privileged to draw our drawing together with our novel. At the same time, also she drew picture book too. And for me, personally, I draw, but at the same time, I do some installation conjunction with my novel. So every single output style is different. One is only word, and the other is illustration, and the other is installation. You can experience in an exact place. So that's totally different, but I really love to do like that, because each of the medium have own power. So I really want to tackle with that, because I really try to describe. I am now always dealing with my novel like history or war or nuclear power. It's kind of big word, but I think we could tackle with words on illustration and installation for that kind of huge issue.
Interestingly, I have always been told that when there is a movie which is based on a novel, the novel is always better. There has been a understanding that the words convey meaning and they are open to imagination. You know, people can imagine anything out of a writing. And your process involves drawing as well. So does the world of your novel, or the story that you are trying to narrate, does it change when you draw? Or how does it affect when you design a cover for your novel? What is an impact of that drawing or the cover design has on the world of your novel? Is there a connection? Do you change your writing based on your drawing, or do you change your drawing based on your writing? How does it to and fro goes in?
Actually, yeah, I need both, of course. Yeah, and of course it is connected because I am inspired by my novel and to draw it. But yes, you know, difference between drawing and writing is that when I want to describe, when I want to express blessing or something, if I have to exhaust a lot of words in my novel, I have to use a lot of words, I have to use a lot of pages to describe it. And it's kind of complicated and hassle, and of course it takes a lot of time. So sometimes I feel fed up with it. Oh, I don't need any more words. But when I draw to express blessing, so it is okay that I draw only one color, yellow. It's my favorite color. Okay, it's done. So immediately. So it is really fascinating moment for me. But if I continue, if I keep drawing, I get to need more words. I get to want to describe using words. So both are important for me, and it should be balanced. Yes.
Can I ask you some question? From the curator's point of view, is there many Indian artists tackling with words and illustration and installation at the same time?
Yes, of course. I think India has some of the distinct artists who use materials very versatilely. And also we have a lot of Indian artists who pick up materials from the folk art, or they also work with textile. And of late, I think in last 2 years, the embroidery, the textile has picked up so much. So it's talked about all over India. So many artists are using embroideries as one of their art forms, the medium of it. And of course, when artists become sensitive, I think the whole cultural connection is, very well woven together. I mean, it's very intellectually put across. For example, in Delhi, there is a show happening by Shilpa Gupta. She's one of the contemporary artists. You see a lot of installations, simple scribblings, but it connects to so much of the socio-economy and cultural aspects of the country. And it puts the current scenario and situation on the pedestal through the artist's eye. So definitely we have a lot of Indian artists who are quite sensitive, using a lot of new medium and materials. Of course, using scripture is also one of the, we have artists who use scriptures in their artworks, which increases the visual language. It's a very unique blend of, the scripture and the, painting itself, I mean the visual language. So it makes more narrowed and intact, I feel, yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. That's so interesting. Do you think is this connected to the Indian tradition or history? Because in Japan we have ukiyo-e. It's almost like a comic style, origin of the comic style, like drawing with text is really old tradition in Japan. But these days, novel and illustration and art is really divided because of the influence from the European philosophy or maybe European structure. But basically, we have that kind of tradition. So, what do you think about in that perspective in India?
I think in India, if you look at the miniature paintings, it's usually text and the visuals. So it's quite well narrated. Initially, it was how it used to be done is it is an atelier system where the artisans or the artists are quite well versed in their own things. For example, one artist is good in drawing, so they do the drawing. Some fill the color. It's all with one master artist who knows the narration, and you have the text on the beside. So, the Indian culture is, it's always, when we look at the history, Indian art history, we look at this Swadeshi movement where, we have this printmaking technique coming in, and you have the Kabuki theatre and the ukiyo-e prints, which has immensely, contributed to the Indian art scenario, where, post-independence and pre-independence, a lot of Bengal artists adopt, printmaking as one of their medium, and, pan-Asian approach. So when Okakura visited India, he introduced the print to India. Shantiniketan, where you have one of the oldest, art school. There's a printmaking section which was introduced. Until then, we didn't have the printmaking. So the dynamics of art making changed from then on, and it has never stopped, I believe. And that's the whole strength of, the connect to the expression, where you are connected to the culture, history. So I think definitely it's still there. And it's one of the very interesting. Miniature paintings are very interesting. I think you should go through it, the text and how it has been blended. And during Akbar's time, it was to the peak where a lot of documentation happened. So you see the live doodoo bird, which was documented during the Akbar's time. So the doodoo bird was brought from Africa to the Akbar's court. So it was illustrated. And of course, there is certain narration, stories which blends to it.
Darshan, I have a question for you. You are a curator of a museum, and that is essentially a state-run institution. So, how do you feel about, does the state facilitate the promotion of art? How do you really navigate this entire bureaucratic system, and how do you choose what to curate, what to exhibit in a gallery?
See, as I told you, National Gallery of Modern Art is one of the premier institute of India, and it is a subordinate office of the government of India. It is headed by the Ministry of Culture. It is totally funded by Ministry of Culture, and it has 3 centers. The first one started in 1954 in Delhi, which was during the Nehru's time, where every other country had the modern representation, and modern era being very important, very significant to the entire world. So there's a thought of having the modern art gallery. We have one in Bombay and one in Bangalore. We are the very young one because we are just 16 years old. We are turning 17 this 18th, February 18th. So we have our own repository which represents modern and contemporary. We have the largest collection of Amrita Shergill with us. It is 109. We have the largest collection of Nandlal Bose, who is one of the prominent, significant artists. We have Abanindranath Tagore, or you have the progressive groups, M.F. Hussain or Ara or Souza. These are certain collections which we have. But, we don't have that liberty or the choice to, the system doesn't allow us to pick what we want as curators. Of course, there is flexibility and there is freedom to curate certain things, but the timeline doesn't allow. The kind of schedule we have. But we get a lot of, proposals in the sense, some artists approach us saying that we want to have a show. Then we have reviewing committees which the artist the proposal goes through the reviewing committee, and then we have the exhibitions. But of course, we also have the international collaborative programs. We have certain artists like Korean artist Kim Ho-suk, who is very well-known artist. We had a very large retrospective exhibition of Kim Ho-suk. We had collaborations with, we had Japan also. We collaborated with the Japan Foundation also, where we showcased Binoy Behel's photography, looking Japan through Binoy Behel's photographies, which he shot in 80s. So like that, we have a lot of, exhibitions which happens. But unfortunately, post-COVID, I think the art is become very accessible to everybody. I mean, also the dynamics of art making also has been changed. I mean, sometimes it becomes very easy. Sometimes it becomes, what I mean to say is there's a lot of layers which has been developed in recent times. I mean, some professionals want to become an artist. It is easy once they start painting. And also a lot of venues have come up. A lot of Biennales festivals have come up. So being a government institutional curators, being an institutional curator myself, sometimes I feel, we are not able to catch up certain contemporary practices. And also the parallel institutions, like we have very big museums which have come up in recent times, which are private museums. So the dynamics of private museums are totally different, and the funding itself is totally different, and the mechanism, the strength is totally different. In that terms, yes, we are there, but sometimes I feel it is little disconnected. We are not working along, but we are working parallel sometimes. But I think it is very, very important for any individual, the society, because it's a government-run museum, and it is the only way that you can bridge whatever you want. Because when it comes to government museums, there's no certain intentions where it has to be catered. The only intention is to bridge the public to the whatever is happening, and we have to have a benchmark to showcase certain contemporary artists, which becomes very, very important. I hope I answered.
Yes, yes. I want to touch upon the idea that art has been perceived as an elitist affair. I mean, art has been something, which rich people explore, or, rich people will hang a good painting in the living room. But then we all have traditional art forms from each parts of India, and I'm sure goes for each country that art has always been a medium of expression for the society. Is there a change in this entire dynamics where is art still a elitist phenomena, or art is reaching actually the common man and it is reaching the common people? What's your perception on that?
Actually, I am not professional of art, so I want to ask them about it.
Sure,
yes.
maybe.
Yeah.
So, as I told you, art has a lot of layers in it. When we see a lot of sensitive and serious artists, the art making process is not to sell artwork, but to sensitize certain things. It is a means of expression. But of course, there's a market to the art. The dynamics is there. It's totally different. And as I told you, a lot of layers are catered in different layers. So it is a big industry as of now. And recently, you have a lot of corporates entering to the art world. And if you look at the history, it is always the patron who control what to be done. I mean, the patronage is very important. So then what happens, you filter so many artists where, because money is essential part for any artist to create artwork. I mean, you should have money, ample of money to, bring it what you think, what you want to create. It is all, but not everybody could achieve it. Very few who can reach to that stature can create that kind of art. And those artists need not worry about, should I sell it or not? So the entire, because it's very, very important, the artist reflects the society, the culture. I mean, if you see, both of your work, it's mostly a reflection. For example, your work on girl making paper bomb is something which relates to your country, and it reflects certain timeline of the country and certain, happening with the human involvement in it. So that's why it becomes sensitive. So I don't think you would like to sell that artwork. That is why you created it. So, these kind of artworks are there. And of course, the sellable art is always there because the demand is there, the supply has to be there. But art has picked up a lot, but it is quite tricky to tell you whether, I mean, it is like that.
Right.
It's been like that.
Darshan, can you please quickly give an overview about the changing scene of art in India? I mean, as a curator, have you seen a lot of movement in recent years? What is changing in Indian visual art scene?
I mean, of course, yes, we have a lot of women artists, and I also met few women artists, very important, significant, renowned artists from Karnataka, who is also known internationally, said me, "Why do you quote me as women? Artist is artist. You need not describe it like that." I mean, the thought process has changed in a while, and of course, there's a lot of women empowerment which has happened, and also the society is looking at like that. I mean, the empowerment for the women, and nobody is stopping anybody to. I mean, the amount of involvement and the amount of growth involving women artists has immensely expanded. So that is there, and of course, we have very good examples of who could place them globally, on an international pedestal. Distinct artists are women from India and mostly from Karnataka and Bangalore. We have one of the distinct artists from here.
Hi, for Erika and Kanako. What's a recent phenomenon in India is that, the dinner plates have sushi, kids are watching anime, and my students are taking pride in their manga collection. What makes this Japanese art form so famous? I mean, why do you think that anime and manga has such a wide reach, and they are being relevant to the generation Z? I mean, Gen Z is going crazy about anime these days. 500 episodes, 1,000 episodes, nobody's stopping. People are collecting mangas, they are reading mangas. Why? Why do you think that's happening?
I think I cannot answer this huge question. But personally, I really love Japanese anime and manga because we grew up with lots of manga and anime. But at the same time, these days, contemporary art and manga and anime is really crossed over in Japanese culture. Some animators show in museum, and also museum artists join to make comics, and that kind of crossover is, for me, it's inspiring because really huge tradition of manga and anime is really concrete for me, but that kind of crossover makes new movement and more free way to express something. So my personal perspective, I'd like to try to more to be more outsider. I'm a comic artist, but at the same time, I'm an artist showing my work in the museum, and I'd like to be always outsider. So that's I feel. So what do you think about that, Kanako?
Yes, it is also difficult for me to answer, but maybe it's not only about manga and animation. Japanese culture is, I think, comes from narrowness of Japan. Narrowness means literally narrow, street are narrow, house are narrow, and also society. Societies are really narrow. You are always observed from someone, and we Japanese really care about what the other people think. So maybe we want to get out of that gaze. Then manga or animation and culture can help us to get out of that narrowness. So animation can spread our world, and manga can spread our world too. And many people in the world can resonate with manga and animation because I think everyone in the world also feel the narrowness of the society. I know US and India has plenty of land, and I don't know you would have big house more than Japan, but maybe you would feel some narrowness because of social network is developing. and society is looking at you. So maybe so everyone can resonate or everyone can get out of the society using manga or the animation, I think.
Darshan, why do you think it's happening?
No, I think, what I feel is, when you want to, closely associate with any culture of a country, there are two things. One is food, the other is the language. And when you keep it that intact, you will reach, and it passes on to the generation. And today I want to tell your students, who are eagerly, connected so much to the other culture, it's very interesting. And it's part of the globalization. How the impact of globalization is happening. And also the digital media of the access, So when you didn't have so much of internet, people used to, when I was in my college, I used to see going to the browsing center and looking for Japanese, illustrations and, the comics to read. But, India, the generation is moving away from the tradition, So we are not connected to the food. But if you look at Japan, they have the tradition which is there. From individual it has passed on. You will notice when you go there. And it is very subtle. It is not loud. And they know what to take, what not to take. So that becomes very sensitive. So that sensitivity has to be there. And I think for India, for Gen Zs, it is very, very important to, understand the tradition. For example, she was talking about the Ramayana, which has been illustrated. If you don't know Ramayana, then you don't understand. So one is you should understand your richness of your language, which is a window or the door to your culture. So that brings out many things. And thus that associates and that gives a vent to create, to the future. So then you have, very sensitive artists, writers, that is how you bring in people very sensitive. So I had one question to both of you. When I went to Japan, I saw this very subtle, it's a very minimal kind of visual language in any advertisements. It is not loud, unlike in India, the advertisements are quite loud. To market any product, you see all kinds of language, everything. But in Japan, I saw it is very subtle. They have it is not too loud. It is always positive. So why is that? And does that affect for you in your visual language to restrict yourself to be very subtle?
Well, thank you for the interesting question, because politeness is really interesting for me. But politeness sometimes connected to the ambiguity, and I feel Japanese person really struggle with ambiguity because we are too polite and everything is too ambiguous. So as a writer, sometimes it's really interesting to how we could write our ambiguous lives. Even our daily lives are really, really ambiguous because we couldn't say yes or no directly. And sometimes maybe yes or maybe not, or lots of things is not clear. But sometimes I feel really uncomfortable, but at the same time I really like that kind of thing because we could left if we keep our ambiguity, we could not get the answer. Sometimes I feel really important to that in this capitalistic and really quick society. Everybody really wants to know the quick answer, yes or no or something, but sometimes it's important to leave it behind and keep continually thinking about that or talking about that is, I feel, really important. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think politeness comes from as I told you, narrowness too, maybe. And I read one book which is about brain science. Our Japanese serotonin brain is way smaller than other countries' one because we originally grew rice in our country, and rice need care. And we have a lot of natural disaster, typhoon, earthquake, and so on. So we had to live together. We had to make society to grow rice. Then, and also we have to be pessimist about it. If we were optimist about it, we can't grow rice. So it's interesting, right? And then, so maybe standing out in the society is not good. We had to respect each other. So maybe we became too polite to each other. Yeah, and as Erika told that, I agree with you. Politeness is really, really important, but sometimes too polite is not a good thing for us. And the art is coming. Art is not polite anymore, right? So art can help to be rude, to be bold, to be, outrageous, right? So we Japanese need more art, I think. Yeah.
Definitely agree with that.
I think I'll ask one very crucial question that we are talking about visual art. And then you both write, you both draw. Are you worried that these things might be taken over by the artificial intelligence? The AI,
Okay.
now we have a very dwarf AI who can generate image by giving some keywords. There may be some 18-year-old who is worried about, should I become a visual artist? Will my job be secured? Will I get work? So what are your take? I mean, what do you think about this entire changing paradigm about will it do it or will it not? The impact of AI on the visual art itself. How do you feel about it? Maybe we'll start with Darshan.
See, when we look at the mankind, what mankind first did is to draw. I mean, he didn't write any letter, but he drew because he wanted to express. So then later on, when you got the paper, then you started doing it on paper. Then you understood how it has to look. I mean, you're giving more importance on the aesthetics. Then you understand the visual language of it, then the expression. I think, till date, many people thought that once you have a graphic, involvement, then people would stop drawing and creating artwork. It didn't happen. And still today, we all know that, conventional art making is still there. I mean, you still understand how to draw because it is to train your, whatever. So I think AI will be a tool to create, and maybe it will create a new visual language to it. For example, we thought when the NFST, the bitcoins came, there is an art making process there also, but how much it could reach, that is a different thing. And art is something which is always you have to experience in physical sense. You have to interact with it. You have to get it. You have to go through that catharsis process to it. Because writing, when you read, it is a slower, still you are able to connect to it because it is narrated there in words. But visual language is not like that. If you look at a painting or a sculpture or a moving image, you have to get involved in yourself. And each time it gives a different experience to each individual. So AI could be a tool, but definitely in terms of, it will change in terms of, how illustration is done. The comic language could change. It will enrich. Because today, if you look at, the characters is not real. It's something fantasy kind of characters. So today, because what I look at and what the next generation is looking at it, and they are absorbing it, is definitely for them it's more attractive, more enriching, though it is out of world, though the characters doesn't look anything real. So we are in the verge of creating a very fantasy world, virtual world, within the society where we talk about liberal and not being liberal kind of thing. So these are all the things which comes in then. And what about how much the writing and the reading involvement also is there in AI. I mean, sometimes I think with the involvement of AI, maybe people could write even better. and they could communicate better. And we all have to wisely understand that AI should be a tool for any individual in personal sense to use it as a tool. Because why it is created, it is one of the other marketing, because people want to earn money, make things simple for their convenience. Only artists are people who try to use these kinds of tools into their art making practices.
That's so interesting. And I don't know how to add the comment, but maybe I could say my personal point of view for AI and technology, because I really love the modern technology and how we could struggle, and I'm really looking forward to the future. At the same time, when I was debut as a comic artist in 20 years ago, I used a computer tablet, but I try to give up the computer right now, and I try to use a Japanese washi paper and ink and Japanese paintbrush, because maybe AI and technology develops and lots of things became really beautiful. The dirtiness or mud or craziness could be have a chance to get the value. I really hope so. So that's because it changed my way of making. So that kind of change looks from the outside, it's kind of backward, but at the same time, for me, it's kind of forward. So I really want to. It's kind of exciting things to confront that kind of technology and people's react and art became. And for me, it's really interesting.
Yeah. When it comes to AI, I think AI should be fire or knives. Fire and knives can kill people, but also very useful. And AI shouldn't be like gun. The only purpose of gun is killing, just killing, right? So maybe if we can take advantage of AI, it would be really useful for us, right? But if we were manipulated or mesmerized by, the weapon and AI, it would kill us. So maybe I think the same as art. Sometimes art can kill people, but also art can save people. So yeah, this is my take on it. Yeah.
Wonderful. That was. You want to say something, Darshan?
No, actually, I'm also an artist, so I draw and I do a lot of photography, and I'm a graphic designer also. So in my museum, whatever the creatives go, I design it. But today with the AI, everybody is able to design, but that human touch is not there. Then you don't get that feel, because in using AI, anybody could do the same thing again and again, but with the individual human touch, you cannot create again and again. Why I'm telling this is because I have a phone with an AI today. When I capture an image, it will enhance, it will try to, mimic, or it is a gimmick where, it distorts the image. To us, it looks good. But then what we are losing is the, to observe certain things. So that dynamics is very important for any individual, because then we become better human beings. To observe. As she told, AI is also, when we talk about restricted to the art, it's a totally different story. But in a larger perspective, of course, we have to be very wise in applying it and accepting it.
On that note, I think we should end this conversation. It was wonderful chatting with all of you.
Thank you.
I think how we say in Japanese, I think sayonara, that's what we say as a bye.
Sayonara.
Sayonara.
Yeah,
So I think
sayonara.
anybody can ask questions to the guest when they are off the desk. Can we have a time to take a couple of questions? One or two. Please, yeah. Can you get the mic to those two girls?
Hi Erika, hi Nanako. First of all, great panel, kudos to the team. Honestly, this was wonderful. I'm currently reading Trinity. It's incredible. It's an incredible experience. My question is, so one can never really truly translate a piece of work, right? And I want to ask you, how involved were you in that process, and what your experience was like? Like, were there any moment where you were like, oh, this is not what I said, why is this in the book, or something like that? And also, Nanako, how's your experience been like so far with your book Sakura is coming out next year, right? So I wanted to ask about that. Thanks.
Thank you so much for reading the Trinity, and wonderful question. Because translation for me is really important. And the Trinity and Sunrise Radiant Story was translated by Brian Bergstrom. He is based in Canada, and it's not very common way to do that, but I and translators sometimes discussing a particular word, how to translate into English, and it makes me realize exactly the word's meaning. I never realized in Japanese, but once translated into English, I realized that word could have such a huge background, and I don't know how to say, but translation inspiring me, and it's not one side. Translation inspires my Japanese too. So once I changed my Japanese book title, afterwards I got his translation, because his translation is much better. So I translated that verse into Japanese again, and I put that title. So it's not the translation is not one way. I think it's going back to me too. Thank you.
Fascinating.
So what's your when your novel is made into a film? So what is your observation? I mean, what difference do you feel? Is it quite authentic, or are you happy? Are you unhappy?
My latest novel, Girls Making Paper Balloon Bomb, was into the theater play, musical theater play, and it was so exciting because when I listened their voice for the first time, I was so stunned, because voice could bring us to more listen the voice. I think I could listen the voice from the past in front of me like that. So the text and voice is different, and I was so impressed by that, and that was amazing experience. Also, Kanako's novel was adapted into movies sometimes, and what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, it's always blessing for me. Yeah, adapting into movie is also maybe translation from novel to movie, and I am also a huge fan of movie itself. So sometimes the more I focus on my movie, the more I forget that is my original work. So that is very weird and funny and happy moment for me. Yeah, is that okay?
My question is that whenever you look at any art, be it written or visual or illustrated, you kind of get a vague idea of where it is originated from, geographically or culturally. So I consider imagery to be a great art that Japanese people have really, they've done great in it. So are there any other elements that you think are authentic to your origin of art, be it written or visual?
The elements of Japanese cultural nuances in your art? What are those elements she wants to understand? The cultural elements or nuances which makes Japanese art a very peculiar one. I think that's the question that you are asking.
Maybe I am not professional art people, but maybe it comes from that narrowness, I think. We have a lot of art style, and we can hold the art drawings, and we can also roll up in the art drawings. So our Japanese art fit for the narrow spaces, and also we have called fusumae. Fusumae express, for example, 4 seasons on one drawings. So we can take advantage of our narrowness. So that would be very uniqueness of our art. Is that okay? Tatomo? Yeah.
I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much. Thank you all. I think we'll end the conversation for now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
I thank Shaunak for moderating, fellow artist. I'm thanking Kanako and Erika for, please, it's a pleasure for me to join. I thank Professor Ravi Chakraborty and Mr. Professor Satendra, and also my intern Sanjana for recommending me here. It was a great time for me.
Thank
you,
you.
and I hope you enjoy India.
Thank you. Also, I would like to thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much. Thank you.